Tony Martin arrived from New Zealand and triggered the degeneration of Aussie TV with The Late Show. He surfed radio waves with Martin Malloy and the much-missed Get This, wrote, directed and starred in Bad Eggs, and even gave Sharon Strzelecki Pash Rash. Now he's returned to the typewriter with his second memoir, A Nest of Occasionals.
Welcome back, Mr. Tony Martin! Snap!
Look, I hope
Look at
people...
that. Hang on.
Let's just get that out of the way.
Bit of a shame you have to bring your own. We did that.
I hope people aren't expecting the cyclist Tony Martin. Are there any fans of German cyclist Tony Martin? There's a hugely popular cyclist at the moment.
See, most people go with the serious thesp Tony Martin.
Ah, yes, or the I think there was a serial killer in the UK, possibly. Don't Google my name, but I often just put the cycling on around the house because I'll be walking through and you'll just hear, Tony Martin's done it again! He's incredible! It's very affirming. Good thing to have on in the bedroom, I would have. He's exceeded expectations yet again!
Even with that altitude.
That's right.
I don't know. I don't know what that means, but when in that context, it sounds rude.
It sounds great.
So a nest of occasionals, if you know what I mean.
Oh,
so now, where does this come from, this title? You've got a book.
Well, would you be old enough to know what a nest... Surely someone here would know what a nest of occasional tables is.
You look straight at me. I couldn't help but notice
Surely
that,
you had a nest of occasional tables in your house.
Mum just had one on her head.
It was a series of increasingly smaller coffee tables, all nested inside each other.
Oh, they all line up one under another.
Sounds like a babushka table.
Exactly. There was like 17 of them. They start about this big and then got down to one just big enough to hold a single Jats cracker with a cube of cheese on it. It was a nest of occasional tables.
Now, a lot of people would know that you are a bit of a film buff.
Yes.
And what I liked in the story is that you talk about your very early days making your own movies at home.
Yeah, well, it was the era of Super 8. What I did is Super 8 filmmaking began, and I decided to con my mum into getting me some filmmaking equipment by saying that I needed it for school. Did you ever do that? Just saying, I've got a list somewhere here in the book. I say that because I needed them for school, I had previously extorted a chemistry set, a soldering iron, a magnifying glass, a tape recorder, a fountain pen, a Stanley knife, a compass, a torch, a set of oil paints, a speedometer for my bike, some sea monkeys, some Letraset, a Halliwells, a subscription to Weapons and Warfare, and a ticket to the opening night of the Hamilton Film Festival. I'm sure if I'd claimed I needed one for biology, she would have hooked me up with a prostitute. Now, as long as you can say you needed it for school, you could get anything. So I got this Super 8 filmmaking equipment. It's on film, and I discovered that if you turned the camera upside down and then ran the film... I can't remember, the 70s technology I'm struggling with.
Back to front,
then the action would be backwards.
Yes.
So all of my early films were about things happening in reverse. And 1978's Man Leaping Backwards into Tree was my first well-received film.
But then you did make one for school.
Yeah.
Your big budget superhero flick.
Well, I wagged school for 2 weeks to make a film about Batman, which I called Batman Again, because there had been a Batman.
You weren't happy with the first one?
It wasn't done correctly.
Was it said like this, Batman Again?
Oh, Batman Again. I'm surprised they haven't used that title. But Star Wars was the big thing when I was at school. We all wanted to be George Lucas and make a new Star Wars film. And I remember, I don't know, would you be old enough to remember the excitement of when Star Wars first came out?
For me, I was still very young. Empire Strikes Back, definitely.
Right.
By that stage, I knew what it was and knew what I was in for.
Well, I remember that I lost a lot of money when... because Mad Magazine did their parody of Star Wars, and what would it have been? Of course, Star Wars is what it was called.
Clever take on the title.
But then everyone at school went, right, OK, what are Cracked going to come up with? And so there was a lot of waiting to see what Cracked came up with. And I remember losing $5 because I was sure they were going to go with Star Worse. That's the sort of thing Cracked did. But in the end, all they did was call it Star Wars with a Z instead of an S. How sweet is that? People were furious. Nerds were overturning cars in the street. were furious. But
Now, you moved over from New Zealand when you were just a wee tacker. You don't have
Yes.
much of an accent, though.
well, I was told that I couldn't go on air sounding like that. Is the phrase that was used because I had a full-blown.
Was it your mum, your boss?
Well, there was things
You're
like
not going on air sounding like that.
you're not going on air talking about Tim Fun and his friction too much friction, is what I was told. No referring to Griffin's biscuits and the thin bit of mint filling on Brisbane radio. So I just
In the
locked
fuck-nutted windshield.
or a Jersey. But what I did is I just locked myself in my flat and watched a show called Sons and Daughters. Would you remember what that
A
was?
classic drama.
It had a theme song that had about 85 emotions in it.
Love,
It was
laughter.
tears, sadness,
And happiness.
hope, betrayal, and at the last minute happiness was too many emotions. I just copied the voices of the people on that show to try and develop something approximating an Australian accent. The phrase "stone the bloody crows" was the key. Although, no, if you're from New Zealand, because people love to make fun of fish and chips.
They do.
But do you know what the Australian equivalent of that is?
No.
Pill. That's the word.
Paul.
Yeah, P-E-W-E-L, the swimming pill. That is the word. If you're an Australian talking to some people in New Zealand, they're just sitting there waiting, say, get to pill. Say, when's he going to say
Go
pill?
for a swim in the pool.
Yeah, that's right. So I just practiced saying pill
Well,
for a couple of weeks.
can you practice saying public probe, Tony?
Oh, no!
Yes!
Oh,
Dun, 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 dun.
no! Getting probed.
You're about to get probed. I can't say it with an accent, it doesn't work. All right, here we go from Monica in Melrose Park, South Australia. If you were a fruit, what kind of fruit would you be and why?
If I was a fruit,
And why?
I would be I would obviously be the kiwi fruit or the feijoa for New Zealand viewers. Yeah.
They will appreciate
They'll
that.
love That's Going to Kill on TV3 on Friday night.
Jenna from Birkdale in Queensland. What celebrity would you say you are most like?
Steven Seagal, clearly. I can see that.
I believe it's Creed in Gosnells, WA, not the band, unless that's where they're hanging out. Would you ever agree to roll in glue and then roll in glitter?
Oh, sure. Is that coming up later tonight?
Big
Bang, I'll be on for it.
Come on. And from Jake in Como, New South Wales, what's the most illegal thing you've ever done?
The most illegal
The
thing?
most illegal thing.
That would have been taping an entire police academy marathon back in the 80s when you weren't allowed to do that sort of thing.
No such thing as a bit time back then.
No.
Oh, good.
Oh.
And cue sound effect, apparently. Well, you can find Tony's new book, A Nest of Occasionals, in pre-read and not yet read form with bookmarks.
That's right.
In stores from Thursday, October 1. He'll be with us all night. Thank you, Tony Martin.
Thank you, Rove. Cheers.
The non-cycling Tony Martin.